Happy Monday. You know what time it is. Today, we're talking all about finding your people on LinkedIn using search techniques. So, whether you are looking to expand your professional network, find collaborators, connect with potential clients, it's really important that you master LinkedIn search tools because it will make a huge difference and make things so much easier with just a few simple things. You just need to know the basics. All right. So, we are going to get started on that. More on it in a minute. How was your weekend? I had a chance to go to the Brookfield Zoo. If you're familiar with the Chicagoland area, you may be familiar with this zoo. And I took my son with me at the end of last week, and it brought back a lot of childhood memories. I love that zoo. It was my favorite. And I felt like he had a similar experience where there were lots of these magical moments, and he gave the dolphin show a 10 out of 10, which is a pretty high ranking for him. And giraffes were his favorite animal, and a good time was had by all. We got a lot of steps in. For those of you who like to count your steps, just go to the zoo for a day. You'll get them in. And now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I like to call the three P's of LinkedIn. As always, if you have questions about LinkedIn or building your network, fixing your profile, be sure to like this post whether you're watching live or from the replay and leave your questions below. They don't have to be directly related to the topic of today, so don't feel like you can't ask a question that may seem out of left field. As long as it's related to LinkedIn, drop it below and I will be happy to answer it after the show or in a future episode of Mondays with Mindy. Let's jump into today's topic. So, what if you don't already have a list of people you want to reach out to, or your ideal connections are not active group members? If you joined us last week, we talked about using groups and communities inside or outside LinkedIn to get connected to people you already know on LinkedIn, right? So, if you want to watch that, I highly recommend watching that because if you are already a member in groups or communities, and you're like, Mindy, I want to grow my network and I already am a member of these groups, go watch that one because it's definitely, I think, a little easier than what we're going to talk about today for those of you who are just getting started. But what if you're like, Mindy, that doesn't really work because my people aren't in those groups or I don't know which groups to join? So you may need to go searching for them on LinkedIn. That's okay too, because that's what we're talking about today. So, for those of you who really want to get nitty gritty, want to find the right people, don't want to waste time, LinkedIn is a great place to go searching because it is optimized for search. And we're going to talk about some easy ways to actually use the search filters on LinkedIn to find people. So LinkedIn is massive, over 900 million users last time I checked and counting. Now some of those might be duplicates. I have been talking with a lot of you lately who are like, Mindy, uh, I think LinkedIn is creating accounts from my Google address and now I have like two or three LinkedIn accounts. So I don't put a ton of stock in that 900 million number because I think there might be some duplicates. But regardless, there are a lot of people. It can feel like a lot to navigate, but here's the great thing. LinkedIn search features actually help you cut through all that noise and connect with the exact people you're looking for. So don't be overwhelmed like, oh, there's so many people. How am I going to find my people? Or is there a way to find my people? So, whether you are after a mentor, a business partner, maybe even your next big career move, LinkedIn search can actually help you get there more quickly and more effectively. So, when you find out how to easily use LinkedIn search, what we'll talk about today, you can expand your network in a smart way. You can find collaborators who align with your goals. You can identify key industry influencers to learn from or to get connected with or to collaborate with too. You can also connect with potential clients or employers. If you don't already have an existing prospect list or you're targeting people who aren't active in groups, like we talked about last week, LinkedIn search becomes your most powerful tool. So that's what you're going to do next. Like, okay, I don't have a list. I don't know who to reach out to. I know my job titles. I have an idea of the people and the avatar and the profile, but I don't really know how to find them on LinkedIn. So groups are great for finding niche communities, but not everyone joins them or actively participates. the first group of people that comes to mind for me, like CEOs, CTOs, executive level. There are a lot of people who are very, very busy, and groups are a waste of their time. And these are groups that are a little bit harder to reach. But if you can get through to them, if you can find them on LinkedIn and start with a great connection, they can lead to more opportunities for you. So these are people that might not be in groups, or maybe you're like Mindy, I'm in groups, but I also want to go find the exact people I'm looking for on LinkedIn. That's fine too. There's no right or wrong. And this is where LinkedIn really shines when it comes to search. It allows you to find those hidden gems, like the people who may not be as visible in traditional group settings, but they're still highly valuable connections. For example, I work with a lot of CEOs, okay? And many of them are not very visible. Like if you looked at their activity feed, you would not see a lot of posts going out. I always encourage them to be more active, but a lot of them are lurkers and they actually spend quite a bit of time on LinkedIn and they are behind the scenes. So they're either paying attention, looking at things, interacting in their DMs, getting connected, but it's just not as visible. So don't overlook these people because they are still on LinkedIn. They just might not look as visibly active. So by using advanced search filters like job title, industry, location, you can easily pinpoint people who match exactly what you're looking for. And the beauty of this LinkedIn search is that you're not limited to, again, people already in your network or who are active in groups. You can broaden your reach to discover new people or even explore new audiences. So for those of you who are looking to expand or maybe look into a new ICA, so for those of you who are not familiar with that term, your ideal community, your ideal potential prospect, your ideal customer avatar. It's really important that you explore before you start saying, oh, I'm reaching out to this specific audience. And LinkedIn can be a really great exploratory tool for you. So this lets you also strategically build a network that's based on relevance and shared interest rather than just waiting for people to come to you. If you have a great referral network or you've been around for a long time, you can wait for new business to come to you. For those of you who need to be a bit more proactive, LinkedIn search can help you. Okay. So are you sold on LinkedIn search yet? You're like, Mindy, yes. You've told me all the ways LinkedIn search can be helpful. And that's why we're diving into it today. So how to master LinkedIn search and use it to your advantage. We can't get into everything today, but I will give you a sneak peek of what it looks like and some tips and tricks for tailoring it for you. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mindy Ramsey, and I have an online program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and network. The last cohort ran in 2023. I'm currently revamping it for the next program that will have tons of updates from this past year. And I'm looking at dates for early 2025. So just stay tuned. I will keep you posted. I help leaders who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go-to visible expert in their niche so they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact. In today's live, we are talking all about finding your people on LinkedIn using search strategies that cut through the clutter and connect you with the right people. It's easy to get lost in the crowd or focus on adding connections just for the sake of it, but the real magic happens when you are intentional. We've talked about this over the past few weeks, being intentional about who you're reaching out to in the way you're reaching out to them. So today we're focusing on the aspect of finding these people. We're not getting into the aspect of how to reach out to them, but I've done other live streams on that. So just look at my channel, look at my profile, you'll see them there. And whether you're looking for collaborators, industry leaders to learn from, potential clients, we are going to talk about using LinkedIn search to find these people so you can move the needle forward. All right. So if you're watching live, catching the replay, hit that like button, that reaction to show some love and let me know you're ready to start finding your people on LinkedIn. All right. So let's get started. Let's start with the fundamentals. If you are new to LinkedIn, the search functions are pretty darn good. And here's how to get going. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to navigate to LinkedIn and start with the search bar. I'm going to screen share in a moment, but I'm going to talk through it first. So you can do this along with me. You can pause. You can come back to this if you're watching from the replay. Start with the search bar at the top in the corner. So at the top of this page, you can enter names, you can enter companies, you can enter topics, job titles, you can enter in just about anything you want to begin your search. And then you're going to get the option to, you're going to see some things like people, companies, interests, skills. You're going to see some filters pop up. So you can actually use these basic filters like people, jobs, content, companies, and groups to refine your results. All right. So you may just easily run a search and find your people right away, not even paying for LinkedIn's premium service and getting the additional search filters, especially if your audience is a little bit more general. Okay. Then you can also click all filters. And this is where the magic happens because you can access advanced filters to really fine tune your search. For example, if you wanted to search for content marketers and you wanted to find people who are second degree connections, so that means they are connected to somebody you're already connected to, you can easily do that in LinkedIn search. Pretty cool, right? So LinkedIn's basic search might be all you need. For some people, this is truly all they need, and they don't need to upgrade beyond this to build a strong prospect list. Now, you're not going to be able to save that search or make it easily accessible. You may have bazillions of pages, but it will get you started and familiar with the tool so you can actually start getting comfortable with using search. All right. So that's where I would recommend is just start with 1 to 2 things that you are searching for that your ideal customer avatar has. Okay. Because that will get you comfortable and you'll start seeing who's popping up. You'll go, that's kind of right, but I also need this. For example, if you're looking for a content, you search for somebody that is a content marketer, but maybe you typed in content, you didn't type in marketer, and then you get copywriters, you get a lot of different types of people who are related to content, but not actually content marketers. Okay. So play with it. Have a little bit of fun. Literally set a timer, spend 5 minutes playing with LinkedIn search. That's it. All right, just get yourself familiar and comfortable. Now, with the search bar and basic filters like people, companies, and groups, you can quickly narrow down the types of professionals you want to connect with. This is especially helpful, again, if you are just starting out or focusing on a specific niche, because by leveraging these basic filters, you can still get highly targeted results without having to pay LinkedIn anything to upgrade to premium. So, whether you're searching for people based on location, you can search for industry, even a specific company. LinkedIn gives you the flexibility to find exactly who you are looking for. So it's a very simple, effective way to generate a quality list of prospects, collaborators, or mentors that align with your goals without having to spend the moolah, as my son likes to say. All right. So for those of you who are like, Mindy, that's great, but I need more advanced search techniques. I want to get a little bit more granular, or I want to save my searches. This is where it gets really fun. So, advanced search features will save you a ton of time and also bring you closer to the connections you need. Because if you only use the basic filters, you're likely going to have a very, very large list. And you're like, Mindy, I can't reach out to 101,935 people. I don't think all of them are in my target audience. Maybe they are. But for a lot of us, we need to actually make that list manageable. I like to get my ideal list down to probably around 1,000, and then you can expand it from there. So sometimes your list may be even smaller, maybe a few hundred, but I would say less than 1,000 makes it a little bit more manageable. A few hundred also much more manageable. So then you can expand and kind of tweak it based on the number of people that are showing up. Okay. So Boolean searches. So for those of you who are not familiar with the term, this is the technique that lets you be super specific by combining keywords with operators like and, or, and not. Okay. So you can say and you want to use this to find profiles that include 2 terms. So that's like content and marketing. So you want content and you want marketing. All right. So you want 2 terms. So, or if you use the term or, this will actually broaden your search. So this means content or copywriter. You would get profiles that include either term. So this would broaden your search. So again, and is probably going to narrow your search, or is going to broaden your search. And then if you use a term like not, you're going to exclude certain terms from your search. So content, not copywriter, will help you avoid profiles you don't need. That means you're looking for somebody that's in content but is not a copywriter. Okay. And then if you use quotation marks for exact matches, use quotes around phrases like product manager, because phrases that go together are content manager. Phrases that go together, you want them to show up together. If you just do product manager without the quotes, you're going to get anybody who has product or manager those two terms on their profile. And you're going to get a much broader search, probably not exactly what you're looking for. And then if you use parentheses, you can combine operators for more complex searches. For example, VP, not in parentheses here, assistant to VP. So this would filter out assistants, okay? And all of that's in quotes. And then you can follow, just so for those of you who are like, Mindy, I'm having a hard time following, there will be a written version of this. So just look down below, you'll see a link to it. You may even be watching this alongside the written version of this video. So don't worry, you can reference that later, okay? All right, so we have and. So this is broadening, this is narrowing our search, content and marketing. Or is broadening our search, so they have this term or that term. Not is excluding certain terms from your search. Quotation marks for exact matches. And parentheses, you can combine operators. So you can combine the parentheses and you can combine the quotation marks, so that will help you out a lot. That's a little bit more of an advanced technique. I would say most people kind of get away with just the quotation marks. Okay. So Mindy, what are your favorite LinkedIn filters? All right. I have a lot of filters that are really, really fun. It really depends on the client that I'm working with. A lot of them have Sales Navigator. I do not have Sales Navigator as of this time. So here is a breakdown of my favorite LinkedIn key search filters and how they can help you refine your search. I'll share my screen in a little bit so you can see. All right. So location. This filter allows you to find people in specific geographic regions or cities. I'm actually going to share my screen now so you can kind of see what we're talking about here. All right, so close that out. All right, so you can see up here at the top, we have locations, and you can see I can add a location here. So you can be very, very specific. United States is pretty broad. California is a little more narrow. San Francisco Bay Area, even more narrow. And then it will actually filter my results by location. Okay, so you can see I'm searching for the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's pulling up people who are first degree connections in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I do like the location filter because especially for those of you who are in sales or you have specific territories or you're targeting specific geographical regions, this can be really helpful. Industry, okay, this is a big one. So use this filter to narrow down your search to specific industries like tech, finance, healthcare, education. This is perfect for tailoring your outreach to a particular sector or vertical, or if you're looking for industry specific opportunities, okay? So to see this, again, I will tell you that I have a premium LinkedIn premium account. I do not have the Sales Navigator account. So what you're seeing here is from my premium account. Okay, so if we look at all filters here, you can see we have location. Let's uncheck that. You can also see here we have industry. So this is a good one, especially if you are targeting specific industries. Again, sometimes you want to play with this because you may select tech, technology, information, and internet, and they actually might be under technology, information, and media. So this is something you're going to have to play with to make sure the right people are popping up for the right industries. LinkedIn often auto selects this for people, so they often do not update this, and they may be popping up under the wrong industry, even though every other piece of criteria matches. So play with this, make sure you get the right people. You may have to tinker with it a little bit. All right, so current company, this is kind of neat because you can actually, if I want to target people at Google, let's see, I wonder how many people I'm connected to at Google. Let's see who are in content or content marketing. Okay, I'm connected to 6 people who are doing something content related at Google or have worked at Google. Okay, so you can see here, sometimes the people that are popping up, you're like, do they work at Google? Are they just listing this here? You still have to actually go and look at their profiles. All right, so LinkedIn search is kind of collecting people for you, but you still have to verify these. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But current company will let you see who's working at companies you're interested in. You can also target like past companies. So if they're ex-Google people, you can target them there. So this is a really neat way to focus on specific people. And I've used this for a lot of clients who are either looking for current company or past company to zero in on the right people. All right, so job title, this is a really big one, and a lot of people don't use this filter, and I think people should use this filter. Let's reset here. All right, so job title, if we're going to all filters, fit will update, there we go. So we're gonna skip down here. job title at the very bottom, you're going to see this keywords here and you're going to be able to pop in a different title. Okay. So that's where you're going to want to search for people with different titles. And it can be a little bit tricky. I find this a little bit easier in Sales Navigator. And if you are in sales, and you are looking for very specific job titles, you should upgrade to Sales Navigator because it's much easier to find people than in a LinkedIn Premium. But this is a way that you can do it, and you can search for specific roles, entry level to C suite, to find exactly the type of people you're looking to network with or hire. And it could be marketing manager, CTO. Basically, this filter will ensure you find the right contacts. Okay. Experience. So this filter will actually help you focus on people with a certain number of years in their field. Now we're looking here and you're like, okay, how do I see that experience? You're looking through here and you're like, I don't see it in all filters. That's because you need a Sales Navigator subscription for that one. So experience will help you focus on people with a certain number of years in their field. So this could be a lot of people are targeting seasoned veterans. Maybe they're targeting rising talent. So experience-based filtering does help you ensure your search aligns with your objectives. This one can also be a little bit weird. Um, I have had people saying that, oh, I want somebody with 10 years of experience as a manager that is now a director. Well, sometimes people don't actually put that relevant experience or list it in a way where this filter will catch them. So just experiment with it to see if it works for you. All right, skills. So if you're looking for skills, again, this is a feature that you're going to see in something like Sales Navigator. But what you can do is you can try to put it here or try to get at skills based on the service category. So where they are providing value. So we can go back to that. So the service categories is one that I would experiment with. And you can also, let me scroll back down, service categories here. That might help you narrow this down if you're looking for certain skills. Also, look for certain skills in their keywords. Okay, so this might help you here in this keyword section under title. All right. But again, skills you can search a little bit more in Sales Navigator or Recruiter. If you're looking for somebody with expertise, again, these skills are what people are reporting to LinkedIn as their skill set. I find like this is a little bit more valuable for recruiters because they are looking for very specific skills and they have to show up on their profile. So for those of you who are recruiters or you want to attract recruiters, make sure you list the right skills on your profile. Okay. All right, so Sales Navigator, we're talking a little bit about that. Sales Navigator and Recruiter actually, and I'm going to unshare my screen because I'm not sharing Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator and Recruiter, they do have advanced filters. Some of the ones that we talked about that will take your LinkedIn searches to the next level. So it allows you to get more specific and targeted with your results. And I'll give you a quick breakdown in addition to some of the ones we've already talked about of what each of these filters can do. And again, some of these are my favorites. So company size, this one is really good and very important for those of you, especially in the B2B space, who are targeting certain size companies. It allows you to target based on the number of employees that the company lists publicly that they have. All right. So that's pulling from the number of employees on their LinkedIn page. So hopefully that's up to date so you can target the right companies with the right number of employees. So you can search for small businesses. This would be 1 to 10 employees, mid-sized companies, 11 to 200, or large corporations, 500,000, 5,000 plus employees, depending on your goals. So again, for those of you in sales, especially if you have a very complex sales cycle, that filter is golden. It will help you avoid like those mom and pop shops when you're really trying to target big corporations or those mid-sized. Okay. Seniority level is another really good filter. It helps you find people at specific levels within their organizations. So think entry level employees versus managers versus directors versus VPs or C suite executives. This is ideal if you want to target decision makers or specific roles within companies. So, what a lot of people will do is they want to, the actual decision maker, the person they want to talk to is in the middle, and they'll go one level above and one level below that person. So they make sure that they get the right decision maker. So there's a number of ways to go about this. If you are doing an account-based sales and marketing approach, this is really, really helpful and a really good filter to know about. Job function. So you're like, okay, how does that differ from job title? So job function, this is stuff like narrowing your search by the type of work someone does, like marketing, sales, engineering, finance, HR. This is especially useful if you want to connect with people in specific departments or roles relevant to your business. So you could kind of pair this with the job titles. Some people will use job function and job titles together, which will definitely help you get your search a little bit more honed. If you use job function by itself, that may or may not work for you because it might be too broad. Okay. So just consider that, but there's a little bit of a difference between job function and job title. Now, reporting structure. This is really interesting. It's neat to see in Sales Navigator, like how LinkedIn thinks people report to each other. Excuse me. This filter will show the hierarchy within a company, and it actually maps it out for you in Sales Navigator, which is kind of neat. It helps you identify not only who holds the leadership positions, but also how teams are structured or what LinkedIn thinks is the structure for that team. It's useful if you are trying to understand who reports to whom, especially if you aren't that seasoned. Maybe you're a new salesperson or you're trying to get into an organization and maybe it's a very complex hierarchical structure. You're like, oh, I don't even really know the person I'm supposed to be talking to. Seeing LinkedIn map it out can be really helpful for sales, even for hiring decisions and just kind of understanding where somebody falls within that hierarchy. So if you're using LinkedIn for sales or recruitment, the advanced filters, I didn't even go through all of them, in Sales Navigator or Recruiter can be game changers. These tools allow you to narrow your search with precision by targeting specific company sizes, seniority levels, job functions, and reporting structures, like I just went through, and more. So, whether you're looking to connect with decision makers at enterprise companies, you're trying to find top talent for a specialized role, or focus on key industries, all of these filters help you generate more relevant leads and make your outreach efforts far more efficient, which is what we're after. So, yes, there is a bit of a learning curve, especially if you have Sales Navigator. Take your time to learn the tool. It is well worth your time. And if you don't need Sales Navigator, then just get by with either the basic search or the advanced search, like what you saw in my premium account, because you'll be able to get by with a lot just using the basic search and the premium without having to upgrade to Sales Navigator. All right, so let's talk about some best practices for running great searches. All right, so we've covered the basics and advanced features. We're going to talk about some best practices that'll help you make the most of LinkedIn search. And again, we've kind of touched on this, but combining multiple filters. Number one of the keys to effective searching is using multiple filters at the same time. For instance, if you're on the hunt for marketing professionals in the tech space, why not filter by location, industry, and job title all at once? Don't just do location and job function, really get specific. This approach allows you to refine your results significantly, and it saves you a lot of time by focusing only on candidates who truly match your criteria. Or if you're just trying to build your network with people you're finding, it really helps you figure out exactly who the right people are. Next, you want to experiment with keywords. So don't be afraid to play around with your search terms. I usually do this when I'm setting up, some Sales Navigator searches for the first time with clients. A lot of times that first search or that first few searches, the first few don't always have the right people. And so then we have to actually look at the searches and go, oh, all right, here's one good person. Let's deconstruct and see what they have in their profile that we can actually replicate to get more of them. Okay, so you have to play around. Don't get too frustrated or, upset if you can't get the right people with your keywords. You have to play with it a little bit. So if your first attempt doesn't get the results you want, try variations, try synonyms. For example, instead of just searching for project manager, consider terms like program manager or project lead. This can help you uncover a broader range of profiles that may fit your needs perfectly or may not. So you will have to tinker with this to get it just right. But once you get a good list, what you'll see is that at least half of the people, hopefully more, but at least half of them are the ideal people that you're searching for. So that's kind of a good benchmark. Ideally, I'd like to see about 75% of those people, but sometimes you're going to go to their profiles and you're like, well, their profile is not really that active. So keep that in mind, though. 50 to 75% is what you want to see on that list. All right. So saving searches. If you find yourself frequently looking for similar types of connections, take advantage of LinkedIn's ability to save your searches. For those of you who have a premium account like what I showed you on mine, what you can do is just save that hyperlink and whatever is in that search, your hyperlink bar, Google Chrome for me. Just save that link and then you can come back to it. All right. So that's one way to save your searches without having to have beautiful lists in Sales Navigator, although those are much prettier because you can save a lot of different searches and describe them and all of that. But if you're just trying to use very basic tools, save that hyperlink and you can go back to it. This way you can revisit them without re-entering your criteria every time, especially handy if you're regularly recruiting or trying to grow your list or connecting with people in a specific niche. And then just kind of work your way through that list or that search. All right, next tip, manually review profiles. I kind of touched on this. Even with all the advanced search capabilities, you have to actually open up that person's profile and look at it. This is the big downfall when people actually go, great. Well, most of the people on this list are a good fit, and they start mass blasting everyone, assuming that every profile is the same or that there may be a few people who don't exactly match their criteria, but that's okay. I'm just not going to actually look at their profiles because it takes too much time. Don't do that. People will pick up on that. People will start saying that you are spamming them. They don't know you, and they can report this to LinkedIn, which will hurt your profile. And LinkedIn, if LinkedIn gets too many messages like that, LinkedIn will start putting restrictions on your account. So please manually review every single profile before you reach out to them. All right. So automated searches can overlook nuances that you might catch. And by looking at people's actual profiles, experiences, mutual connections, you can actually get a better idea and figure out how you're going to approach them or whether they're actually a good fit. But you have to look at their profiles. Take the time. Don't rely on a bot to do it for you. Actually go and look at their profiles. All right. Next tip, use content search. All right. So this is another strategy that you can search for individuals actively creating content in your industry. So if you're talking about people, like we were looking for people in content marketing, instead of searching by people, I could search by content and posts. So I could actually look at the types of people who are posting things about content marketing. And those people are likely very active on LinkedIn and might be influential. So this is another way to find people. Yes, you're not working through a list per se, but you are seeing the people who are kind of top voices on LinkedIn or are sharing content on those topics. And it's also a really good way to warm up people before sending a request. So for those of you who like to engage with people's content, which is one of my favorite strategies, before you send a connection invitation, this is a really good way to do that because you're finding people who are already active. It's easy to see that they're posting on LinkedIn. They're active on LinkedIn. Did I say that twice? And you should engage with their content and then follow up with a connection invitation. So this approach makes your outreach feel much more organic and increases your chances of starting a meaningful conversation. All right, exploring groups. We talked about this in depth last week. You can join relevant LinkedIn groups. This is one way to find people. A lot of LinkedIn groups, if you're actually trying to join and participate in discussions, you're going to feel that you are let down. All right. A lot of LinkedIn groups have good people inside of them, but the conversations happening, not so much. All right. So some groups are still great, but I would say the majority of groups I've looked at lately, it's just kind of dead in there. So sad face. It is what it is. But you can actually look at the list of members, and there might be a lot of great people inside those groups. So that might help you search without using LinkedIn search features. So this is one way to connect with people. And if the group is active, participate in discussions, engage with group members. This will help you create those connections and discover opportunities that might not be visible through the standard searches we talked about today. So again, if you haven't discovered by now, I love groups, but mostly the groups I interact with are outside LinkedIn, but some of the ones on LinkedIn are still good. Look through the members of those groups. All right. We talked about a lot. Okay. So as we wrap up today's chat about finding your people on LinkedIn, I hope you can see how mastering these search features and learning how to do searches, even if they're really basic, can really change the game for you. This is where the magic of LinkedIn is. So it's not just about growing your network. It's about being intentional with your connections and actually finding the right people. So again, try LinkedIn search tools because this can help you find the right people who align with your goals. So once you've exhausted your existing prospect list, once you've reached out to everybody in the communities that you know, you're going to need something else to continue growing your network and a new way to find people and come across people. So we've covered a lot today, from basic filters to advanced search techniques like Boolean searches to combining filters to talking about Sales Navigator, Recruiter. These tools can help you uncover profiles that might not pop up in groups or your immediate network. So do give them a try. And again, remember, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. So when you focus on the right connections, you're going to make sure that every new relationship from these cool people you're finding actually brings you closer to achieving your professional goals and helping others because you are now a part of their network and a resource to them. All right. So it's a win win for everyone, but you do have to practice. You do have to get comfortable with searches or find somebody who is. If you're like Mindy, this is all really interesting, but I don't want to actually do this searching. I want to outsource it. There are a lot of people who are excellent at running searches. So you could probably type this in, but if you look for people who are good at LinkedIn and lead generation, people who talk about using Sales Navigator, people who talk about LinkedIn searches, they are familiar with this process. You can actually outsource that to them. Okay. So if you don't want to do it yourself, there are options. You can always delegate. All right, so as you move forward, keep that blend of technique. So using these techniques in mind, along with authenticity. Don't use this as an excuse to just spam all of these people and try to just go through them as fast as possible to get your connection or get grow your network even bigger. Really think about approaching your searches with a sense of curiosity and creativity and trying to find the right people, not just going broad, but really tailoring your searches so you are getting 50 to 75% of them actually being the right people when you look at their profiles. And I'm really excited to hear how you're using LinkedIn search. I bet there are a bazillion other techniques that I did not talk about today. So feel free to share them if you have other tips and tricks for finding people on LinkedIn. Share them in the comments, even if they're not, didactic LinkedIn searches. Maybe you have some clever ways to find people on LinkedIn. We want to know, how are you finding people on LinkedIn? How are you getting connected with people outside groups you're already a part of? Again, if you have any questions or you want to dive deeper into anything we just talked about, let me know. I'm here for you in the comments. I like to answer all the questions and comments after the live so I can actually pay attention instead of seeing them flittering on the side. You can also just DM me. So if you want to LinkedIn message me, I have an open profile and I'm happy to answer anything privately as well. So thanks again for joining me on today's session of Mondays with Mindy. Remember, LinkedIn, it's all about building real, meaningful connections. Start by optimizing your profile, then use these search techniques to find your tribe. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like or share this live stream with someone you think might benefit. And follow me for more insights on LinkedIn strategies and professional growth. And happy networking. I will see you all next week on Mondays with Mindy. We're going to talk a little bit more about growing your network. And this is going to be a great month. October was all about how we grow our networks and how we get connected with people. How do we find people? So if you have topics you want me to cover on a future episode, also leave that in the comments below. And I will see you all next Monday. Go have a great week. Bye for now.